Welcome everybody to Compas on the Beat. My bad. I really butchered
Too
that
many
one.
podcasts, Fernando? You got a lot of podcasts that you're working on?
No, that's my bad. No, I got a funny text. Obviously, I can't
Share it.
disclose it, but it distracted me. It's of a baseball player and the amount of never mind. All right.
You got a baseball player texting you? Is that
No. It
a
was
way of
it's
bragging?
about a baseball player, and it's just about just how many different players he could have on the baseball field with how many. Never mind. I'm not even gonna get into.
Are we talking Derek Jeter style or?
No. It's similar, but like in this way, it's like offspring more than anything.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah,
Okay. All right.
I think
Marty style or
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we're I just kind of going off of that, but your favorite compas have another jam-packed episode of the Four Compas Show. In this episode, there will be no Dan and Daygo this week. He is off. He decided to take a small vacation after the school year has now ended, and he's like, you know what, I need to get away for a little bit. I was like, I got you, don't worry. But there's only one person we can call to pinch hit for today's show. We'll make sure to let you guys know who that special guest is. They'll be joining us pretty soon. We have another jam-packed episode though, because we're going to grade the AFC and NFC West, and if that doesn't give you a hint about who our guest is, then you guys haven't been paying attention, but we'll get into all of that. But all right, Hilberto, do you have an engagement question for our viewers and or listeners?
Yes, I do, Fernando. No, Dan and Daygo, I just feel a little more livelier. I feel like, okay, this is my show. No more having to share the spotlight with Dan and Daygo. But for the engagement question of the week,
getting mad at him.
Oh, that's good. You know, I got worried. I know it's a side conversation. When Dan is getting too many fans, I'm like, okay, he's doing something wrong. That's not the Dan that I know. He needs to, ruffle some feathers. There you go. I'm on wire because Dan's not here, so I'm that guy. But yes, if people are liking Dan too much, then that's not a good look. But you let me know about that in a bit. And the engagement question of the week. We're doing grades. People like grades because it's the off season and nobody cares about basketball, right? Who's leading the Western Conference Finals, Eastern? I don't know.
The Thunder right now it'd be Thunder and Pacers, but your coworker is the one leading that.
That'd be a snooze fest, by the way, for NBA Finals ratings, right? Oklahoma.
I don't think you know what? I don't think so. I think Rick Carlisle is very underrated as a head coach. I'm interested to see the Thunder. Sam Presti has really retooled that team.
Okay. You will care, and then Middle America will care.
As soon as LeBron is done and gone, I'm like, okay, I'll get back into basketball. So now that he's eliminated out of the playoffs, I'm like, all right, I'll watch.
I do like to watch Tyrese Halliburton because he's been going off, and I've been paying attention a little bit. But yes, give me your NFC, AFC West off-season grades. If you want to take the time, go ahead and do it. Jorge, I think you'll do it. Tom, I think you'll do it. And Matthew would do it. Eventually, we're going to ask Eric to do it, but give me the grades for all the teams in the AFC West, NFC West. Give me off-season grades. Rams got Davante Adams. Chargers got Omarion Hampton, Mekhi Becton. Cardinals got Josh Sweat. The Seahawks got Sam Darnold. What did the Chiefs do? Gardner Minshew, anybody?
Offensive line.
Yeah, and Jalen Moore, I think, the new tackle. But yeah, we'll get to the grades. Let us know in the comments.
All right. And now, Gilbert, without further ado, let us bring in our very special guest. You guys know him, you love him, and I think he's going to be disappointed when he finds out that a certain somebody isn't here, but I'm sure he'll love it nonetheless.
Step up, bring it. Yes, sir. Somebody gon' get their ass kicked. Somebody gon' get their wings lit.
Yeah. Eric D. Williams with the best intro in the game. Eric, how you been?
What is up, players? How y'all doing?
Doing well. How about you, Eric? You like that intro?
I love it. I love that you're rocking the Kraken hat there.
Hey, yeah, Rainiers, yeah.
Rainiers, Tacoma.
Holy shit, I was going to ask.
Look at that Washington representing today.
That's right.
So I didn't know what that was.
We're big Sam Darnold fans out here too, right? Or no? Okay. I don't know. Fernando, get your hat.
Sam Clemente hat.
Yeah, there you go.
This this needs to be out and shown to the public. I can't just put in a look at that, Eric. People get hyped when Eric jumps on. That music gets me hyped every time.
Yes, sir.
Jorge says Eric needs to be a WWE wrestler already.
No, I can't do that, bro.
Eric Dizzle with the intro is always fire. There you go, Eric. People love you. How's everything going? How's graduation?
I like E Dizzle. I like E Dizzle.
Ah, okay.
Oh, E Dizzle's a good one.
That would
Graduation's
be your name. in WWE.
about a week away.
Okay.
About a week away for my daughter's graduation, so
Okay.
we're getting ready for that. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's a crazy time. Like you see all these kids graduating. You're like, damn, I remember when I graduated. It was a while back, but I was more mature than this generation. So I'm just
Right. Yeah.
That's one word, Fernando.
But Eric, no Dan today. He is out in Montana for the week. So we appreciate you jumping on. Hey, I told Dan if next week if we go up to Chargers, you might join us to go to OTAs or whatever, and you guys can have that fun car ride. You guys always have those different conversations that you guys.
He's not coming back, Fernando. Dan's gonna stay in Montana.
Yeah,
I don't know about all that.
He's in God's country now. He's not going to leave.
That's what he's been. That's what he's been telling us. So he's definitely excited. But Eric, so far, obviously,
Athir, by the way, shout out.
Shout out Athir. Thank you so much. Let me ask you quick. We'll just go quickly through these. Steelers open OTAs without Aaron Rodgers.
Mhm.
Good, bad, indifferent.
Indifferent. Aaron's 41 years old. He doesn't need OTAs. It's probably a good thing that he's not there. Allows other guys to get reps that need it. You're trying to keep Aaron healthy, so limit his time on the practice field. We know Aaron can play. So, as long as he gets there, with a few weeks to get acclimated to, what they want to do offensively, I think he'll be fine.
It's funny to me, Gilbert. Thea, go ahead and send it. I think it's funny because I thought if he would not do anything and be quiet, not jump in OTAs and kind of be quiet, that'd be fine. But the thing is, he's jumping on he was on Rogan's podcast last week. He's jumped on McAfee a couple times. I'm like, dude,
he like a Q&A with the entire public. I saw that. Like he was talking about playing in New Orleans or Chicago and things
and then he usually goes to this thing. Eric, I've always wanted to go. I was going to tell you about it. This event out here, they do like a flag football event up in LA, and it's like Josh Allen's there, Aaron Rodgers, a bunch of other guys pop in and stuff. He did that a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he just if he did it quietly, I'd be like, okay, but now it's like, well, and there's nothing to talk about really. So I think people are really harping in on this.
Yeah, I think with Aaron, I mean, he's not going to be quiet. We know that. He's going to talk and do his thing off the field and express his opinion, and that's cool. But if you're Pittsburgh, I think you're trying to limit the amount that you're exposed to him with the off the field stuff. And the closer you get to the season, the more it's about football. If you would have signed him in May and all the stuff that he's doing now, can you imagine the conversation and stuff that we've been writing about based on, his comments? Well, but now if you're Pittsburgh, you're not attached to it because he hasn't signed. People still don't know if he's going to sign, but I mean, we're anticipating that Aaron's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. And so, we don't have to deal with it during the off season. He'll show up to training camp and let's roll.
Small indicators, Jets and Steelers week 1. And then I think halfway through the year, the Chargers play the Steelers on Sunday Night Football at SoFi Stadium. So I don't think they'd want Mason Rudolph versus Justin Herbert at that point. So I'm sure there was a little bit of indication there that those two are just two kind of indicators that I think, it looks like they will. The schedule makers know.
He gave it away already, Fernando. Somebody asked him about playing in Chicago, and he said no. And he's like, "But I am expected to be in Chicago as an opposing player. The Steelers play in Chicago this year, so he's already. It's a handshake agreement. It's silent. They're gonna get it done."
And so do the Vikings, Gil. So I mean,
actually, good point. Yeah, he's holding for that, but he's hoping that maybe Kevin O'Connell would change his mind. But I'm kind of over that. Like he worked out with DK Metcalf, and the Steelers have Mason Rudolph, for God's sake. Like, are the Steelers that that dumb to think that they're gonna do this without a commitment? They probably had a nice handshake agreement, and a couple months ago. But
he was in the building, like you said.
Yeah, and then also to answer the question, like, who cares? Like, no, like, and Eric, to your point, when mandatory minicamp starts in the middle of June or early June, I forget, for the Steelers schedule, nobody's gonna be asking reporters like us, "Hey, where's Aaron? Where's Aaron?" And he's out in Egypt, or with family or whatever. Nobody wants to hear that or deal with that. So training camp rolls around. If he's out there, then great. But for right now, it's a non-story, and it seems like we're headed that way. But yeah, maybe Aaron is waiting for a Vikings opening. But I think JJ McCarthy has that job right now.
Eric, do you have to take that? You good?
I'm good.
Okay, I didn't know. It could be Aaron Rodgers saying, "Eric, Edub, come on."
Like, I'm going to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, come on. Eric, Bills. Theo, we'll get to your question when we get over to Charger talk. That'll be pretty soon. Sean McDermott opened up and said, "Hey, Joey Bosa's out until training camp with a calf injury." Obviously, a lot of Charger fans kind of jumped on that and he piggybacked off of it. But I mean, a guy like Joey Bosa, in a sense, I mean, it's a new team and everything, but he doesn't really. I mean, when you need him is during the season. I don't think during OTAs.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Aaron. I mean, he's going to miss off-season work. He's a veteran guy. Joey knows how to play football. So, yes, that said, though, I mean, Joey has had his share of injuries in his past. And so whenever these things crop up, you're concerned if they're going to linger into the regular season and going to impact him missing games. I think if you're the Bills, you're not even worried about him playing the first 8-10 games. You want him for the last 6 games and the postseason. So I can understand why they're just like, yo, like, let's put you in bubble wrap and just make sure you can play meaningful snaps in December and January.
I will worry a little bit for now because they don't have a lot of depth at edge rusher, but they've been getting it done with Gregory Rousseau and Ed Oliver in the middle. But like Eric said, you got to get this guy ready for the postseason and stay healthy when it really matters.
Eric, are you on Pablo Torres' side or are you on Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson versus Pablo Torre? Has that kind of been the most interesting matchup of the offseason so far?
I'm on the side of let Jordan cook. Like she's keeping it interesting. So she wants to continue to kind of put herself out there and put Bill out there in ways that we haven't seen him before. I'm all for it because it makes for interesting banter during the offseason.
According to Dr. Florio, Pablo Torre is ready to sue UNC if it fails to comply with its legal obligation to produce public records, most notably emails relating to Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson.
Wow.
Yeah, I got some FOIA requests going on there, some old school reporting. Good for Pablo. But like I said, it's good for all of us that this continues to be a story, in my opinion. All publicity is good publicity. I guess if you're the Tar Heels, it's definitely keeping their name out there. I am interested with the clause. I think goes down to $1 million if he wants to get out and possibly return to the NFL. Are we going to see Belichick on the sidelines for the Tar Heels with all this stuff happening, off the field? I mean, that's an interesting thing to continue to watch as we get closer to August.
Obviously, Eric, a lot of talk has happened about NFL players playing in the Olympics, and it's going to be during training camp, and that's when it's going to take place. Well, Daryl Doucette, the quarterback of the USA national football team, said, hold on a second. This is a sport that we've played for a long time, and we feel like we are the best at it, and we don't need those other guys. My proposal is we play during the Pro Bowl next year a game. Those guys versus the NFL players. Make the Pro Bowl interesting. Have them play flag football. And let's see who the winner goes to the Olympics. I know why the NFL is doing it. They want the Patrick Mahomes, the Lamar Jacksons to be on the stage with Cristiano Ronaldo, Kylian Mbappe, Messi, all these world-known soccer players and F1 racers and guys like that. The NFL still hasn't reached that global level that even the NBA is at, where everybody knows who LeBron is. They're trying to do it with this. But do you feel like they should let NFL players play in this Olympic game? And 2, what do you think about his comments about about them joining and all that, and them not needing NFL players to, because it's a whole different sport. I mean, everybody can say, "Oh, it's flag football," but it's different.
I mean, it's not really different. They're
They
still
do like
throwing
rugby
football
style. They do
around.
laterals and they
They're
do all
still
kinds-
running routes and drawing up plays. I mean, it's more like what we grew up playing out in the street, I guess. You know,
smear the
the physicality that you
Yeah.
have in football, you know, isn't different. But I mean, these are the best athletes, some of the best athletes in the world. You're talking about Justin Jefferson and Mahomes. We want the best guys to represent our country. So if they're the best players, there should be some kind of tryout so they can show that. And I do feel bad for the guys that have been playing flag football all along and have had a lot of success. They've won a lot of tournaments, and I understand that guy's sentiment, you know, in terms of, hey, like, you know, why am I being moved off this team for Patrick Mahomes? That said, I mean, he's 5'7", 140 pounds. He's 35 years old right now. I mean, come on now. Like, I mean, who do you want quarterbacking your USA flag football team?
But what
That
if Mahomes
dude
tears his
or Patrick
ACL?
Mahomes?
What if
Well,
he tears his ACL?
he could tear his ACL walking to the refrigerator. I mean, you know.
It's Big Browning instead. I have more trust in that guy than whoever this football player is. 35 years old, 5'7", still playing flag football. You got to question your mindset at that point. Find something else to do. You're not getting a lot of money off of flag football, I'm assuming.
Well, in 2028, he's going to be 38 years old.
Yeah.
But he wants the medal, right?
You know, again, like, I think he should be involved in some kind of way. But at the end of the day, the Olympics is about seeing the best athletes play. And so, of course, we're going to want to see Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or those elite level athletes playing against whoever the world has to offer.
Arch Manning,
if it's Arch Manning, sure.
There you go. All right, let us now get into our NFC and AFC West offseason grades, but let us bring in the fourth member of today. Vic, I think I messed this up. Do I have this messed up? Yeah, I do, huh? Vic, you're muted. Oh, there it is. Oh, wait, no.
There we go. Am I good?
Did I mess this up?
No,
Yeah, hold on. I got you.
Line in your face. So
there we go.
Oh, yeah, I had to take off the other one. Duh.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, cool. All right. We are. That's my bad. I don't usually use all this stuff, so that's usually a Vic area. All right, Eric. So basically, we're going to give out grades for AFC and NFC West off-season grades. First off, though, we wanted to start off with Eric, the best division-changing move in the AFC West to you was?
Oh, it was the Raiders bringing on Pete Carroll. I think it just changes their whole perception of the franchise and the culture. Having a guy that's won a Super Bowl now leading them, and they should have some competency in terms of, you know, what they look like both off the field and on the field. Bringing Geno in there, a legit quarterback, is going to, you know, improve what they do on offense. So I think that was kind of the biggest move of the four teams.
Gilbert?
Yeah, it has to be Raiders involved in this question, because I feel like the Chiefs did a lot of small moves because their roster and their core is already built. You know, Broncos to an extent, and it's a lot of draft players too that could be impactful, but we just don't know how they're going to perform come Sundays. So I'm gonna pick it back off of Eric, but I'll take it a step further. I don't feel good about this because I'm not a big Geno Smith, I guess, supporter, I guess would be the right word to say here. But yes, Pete Carroll will definitely change the culture there in Las Vegas. But in terms of playing on the field, being impactful, I think Geno Smith could help, you know, go from a 4-win team to a 7 or 8 or 9-win team. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. They'll probably be one and done if they get to the playoffs. But in terms of a player move, it has to be Geno Smith. I don't like that they paid him. I don't like that the Raiders are stuck in the middle in this cycle here. The Sam Darnold, you guys know me. I hate mediocre quarterbacks. The Derek Carr effect. You get stuck in that cycle, and then you never get a franchise quarterback because you're never picking top 5, top 10. Whatever, Raiders, do what you got to do, but you are going to be competitive. So in terms of that sense, Geno Smith's the answer for me.
Vic?
You know, I was gonna just add to that. I mean, both of you guys have good ones there, and just to kind of go off of history now for the past 2 years, you look at teams that have had a new coach and then brought in either a rookie quarterback or a veteran quarterback, they make the playoffs. Whether you look at, the Commanders last year with their new coach and their quarterback, and then the Texans the year before that. So things are set up for the Raiders. Now can they put it on the field? So I'm with you guys. But mine, just because I didn't want to keep this Raiders heavy, I went with the Chiefs. I'll be the Chiefs homer this week. And fixing their offensive line, kind of retooling it with Jalen Moore. I thought they were a big benefit of the cap going up and being able to keep some of their guys along that offensive line. I know they traded Joe Thuney, but they needed to kind of they needed to retool that offensive line, especially after what we saw in the Super Bowl. So for me, I thought them retooling their offensive line was a big move.
I'll add to that, Vic, as I agree with that too. What is Blue Dream saying?
After all that football hibernating, moving, and getting used to the new Compas schedule, I still can't get over Gilberto's.
Hey, we got also Eric with Rainier.
Oh, look at him trying to throw him under the bus.
Washington representing here, okay?
You're the only one without a hat, Fernando.
I'm going to say Blue Dream is a Ducks fan. I forget, but somebody here is a Ducks fan. But I know it is random that I'm wearing a Kraken hat. I don't give a crap about hockey. I don't know hockey. I don't know offsides. I don't know penalty boxes, but I like the hat. So deal with it. And then, speaking of Chiefs supporters, as you know, guys, I do tend to support the Chiefs here on this program here. But I do worry about the O-line because how much was Joe Thuney the glue of the offensive line? When he went from guard to left tackle, he was holding it down, and he saved their season pretty much there. So with Thuney gone, is Trey Smith a legit dude? There you go. I knew it, Blue Dream. Quack, quack. But yeah, is Trey Smith that guy, or was Joe Thuney and Creed Humphreys helping him out? Is Jalen Moore just a backup, or is he kind of like Joe Noteboom, where he was filling in for Whitworth and they still paid the guy, not being a full-time player? So I'm always going to give Brett Beach the benefit of the doubt, but some of these O-line moves I'm kind of a little hesitant about, but I will give them the benefit of the doubt.
So obviously, I don't want to sound like a homer here, but I couldn't go with the Broncos. You guys know my feelings on the Broncos. They kept 80% of their team. They brought in 2 injury-riddled guys. I thought their draft pick, though, of the kid out of Texas, that cornerback, I thought that was lethal. But I think this is one of the reasons why the Chargers went and got Omarion Hampton, is like, if you guys are going to stop our receivers, then we're just going to run the football on you. So I think Najee Harris and the addition of Najee Harris and the draft pick of Omarion Hampton, that's exactly what Jim Harbaugh wants. He wants 2 thumpers, 2 guys that are going to be able to tire out opposing defenses. Last year, when they came in, obviously, and Gilbert and Eric, Joe told us, I mean, essentially, cap struck. You come in and you're not able to do as much as you can. Now you're able to have the freedom to do more with more cap space. They went out, they got 2 running backs that now I feel like are going to help them implement more of their style of offense, and I have to think that those 2 additions are definitely going to help this team, especially like you said, you kind of take the pressure off of Justin Herbert and let him be the guy that he knows. I mean, you pick and choose your spots, but this is like in Varsity Blues, this is a running team. We are a running team, so that's exactly what this team is going to be. So yeah, I kind of went with that route.
Well, maybe Eric could play center.
That's not going to be good for anybody. I haven't played center since like 2nd, 3rd grade, man.
Or left guard. There's 2 openings there.
No, I agree with that. Hey, I've been critical of the whole offensive line, especially because if you're just going to send out Zion Johnson and Bradley Bozeman back out there, then what the hell was everything? Like, then you really didn't watch that Houston game to see exactly what your deficiencies were. But June 1st is coming up. I know that obviously they pay attention to the comp picks and everything. After June 1st, they're able to go get guys. Brandon Sheriff is still out there. There's other guys that will still be out there. I think they could bring in somebody in or something, because that offense, you can't go with the same offensive line and just say, oh yeah, we just added Mekhi Becton. Then Rashawn Slater didn't show up today to OTA, so he wants a new contract. So there's that. But what were you gonna say, Eric, about it?
I was going to say, I thought a couple big additions were the kid out of Ole Miss, Harris, and bringing
Oh.
Mike Williams back. Having two legit X receivers on the outside, big targets. We know Justin likes to throw to bigger targets, is comfortable doing that, to create some balance with the additions of, like you mentioned, Harris and Hampton in the backfield, to have those two targets on the perimeter along with Ladd and what he can do in the middle of the field should open things up for Herbert and allow him to be more dynamic and explosive in terms of the passing game.
Well, and if Quentin is your fourth or fifth receiver, I mean, that's 700 and Dan always yells at me for this, but 750 yards last year, 8 touchdowns. Like, he was a contributor. I know towards the back end of the season, he wasn't contributing as much as he did in the front end. But I mean, if he's your fourth or fifth receiver, that's still like, that's not bad. I mean, especially with some of the strides that he made last year, he did make some differences at times. I know he had that 180 game against the Raiders, and then the next week he had 0 against the Texans. But I still think that he's going into his third year. I still think he's gonna make some positive strides this year. And I mean, now having real competition around him is only gonna either make you or break you, essentially.
Yeah, I think the last thing you just said, Fernando, competition. They're going to have better depth at that position, and they're not going to have to rely on Q to go out there and have a 1,000-yard season. We know Mike Williams is probably going to miss some games, so it's going to be important that Q's going to have to play. Harris is going to have to play. This Keandre Lambert is probably going to have to play. So you're going to have to rely
excited about
on
him
depth.
too.
Oh, he's a player. If you go back and watch this film, I mean, he's going to contribute. So I like their depth 1 through 6. I think it's probably the most depth they've had. You can go back to maybe their first couple years when they were in Los Angeles, and they had Tyrell Williams still on the roster.
That was, and you remember that in that 18 year, Hunter Henry tears the ACL. If not, they would have had a really complete team going into that year. But yeah, no, I completely agree. Adir, we'll get to it in a second. Hold on. We're just going around now the NFC West. I'll start this one off. Best changing move, Matthew Stafford's last dance, quote unquote, because we hear that every year. They always say it's his last dance. But this is going to be your best opportunity to kind of go at this. And if this is really his last dance, you've gotten everything that he needs, basically. You got him Davante Adams, exchanging for Cooper Kupp, but that should be a big addition. If you got Puna Ford, you got some other key players, they draft really well. So if they're able to come in here and build off of the good from last year and some of the bad, because obviously we saw Saquon Barkley just run for over 400 yards on that defense in 2 games. But if you're able to build off on that, because essentially you were a couple of bad plays away from being in the NFC Championship at home against the Washington Commanders. So I think the best move was bringing Matthew Stafford back, not playing around with, maybe Aaron Rodgers, maybe we draft a quarterback, which obviously there were no quarterbacks as of right now that were worth drafting at that position. So yeah, I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford. Eric, what do you got?
Brock Purdy getting paid. The
Wow.
best move. I think the reason I say that is it kind of solidifies that he's the guy that's going to be leading their franchise over the next 5 to 7 years. They're able to get their cap situation straight in terms of the money that they gave him. I don't think it was too much money that it didn't allow them to make other moves. They are obviously able to sign George Kittle and Fred Warner, guys that are important foundational pieces. And then they had added a lot of guys through the draft. Now, they did get rid of a lot of people. You mentioned 2 injury-prone guys, and Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga, who are now with the Broncos. They moved on from Moore, who's going to be starting left tackle for the Chiefs, and Javon Hargrave, a number of guys that played good football for him. Charvarius Ward's another guy was their shutdown corner. So they're going to have to replace those pieces with younger talent that's going to have to go in there and play at a high level early in their careers. But they're going to count on their coaching staff to get those guys ready. They bring Robert Salah back. I think that helps them in terms of solidifying what they're trying to do on defense. Gus Bradley is a defensive senior assistant there. coached a lot of football. I think his presence will help develop some of those younger guys on defense. And then, Kyle Shanahan, hey, you're supposed to be an offensive mastermind. Go out there and do work, get your offense ready to go so you have balance. 6-11 obviously was a bad year for them. We'll see if they can rebound from that.
Easiest schedule going into this year, according to a lot of people. So, Eric, real quick before I go to Gilbert and Vic, the George Kittle second round pick, do you really think that was real? Because if you're kind of in this process where you're kind of rebuilding, and I don't know what you think they're doing. I think I'm of the thought process they're retooling. That's why they didn't make that trade. Mm-hmm. But is that why you think they didn't make that trade? Because they're kind of retooling and they feel like they can still make a run at this?
Yeah, Kittle's still a really good player for them. Second round picks are guys that turn into good players, but is that the value in terms of where Kittle is at right now in his career? Even though he's older, I still feel like he's still one of the best tight ends in the league. And you're signing Purdy to that kind of money. And that's basically Purdy's security blanket. That's the guy that he throws to like all the time. You moved on from Debo. Ayuk is coming off of injury. So, I mean, he's probably going to be your most targeted pass catcher on that roster when you look at, who they have at receiver. And obviously McCaffrey's going to catch the ball a lot out of the backfield. But you kind of needed Kittle to stay there and helped solidify the passing game.
Vic.
Mine was what did I go with? Oh, I went with the Seahawks drafting safety Nick Emenwari. Let me know if I got that wrong.
That's good.
Yeah, Mike McDonald gets his Kyle Hamilton here, and I thought that was huge. I know there was a lot of teams. I've already seen the Patriots kind of come out and talk about this, that they haven't actually said who they were thinking of drafting if they were there. But there was a lot of teams that I know of that were really looking at him at the beginning of that second round. And so for Mike McDonald to get his Kyle Hamilton here, I thought it was huge. And then I was also going to say just taking care of their offensive line with their first pick too. Snyder has not been good at drafting offensive linemen. I think I had that stat where I think it's been since 2005 or something, some crazy. It's been a long time since they've had a Pro Bowl first round pick, or even a lineman that they drafted be a Pro Bowler. So yeah, I thought that one was also a good one.
Yeah, I think it was it was Max Unger. I think they didn't draft him. He was drafted the year before in 2008. I don't think Okung went to a Pro Bowl when he was there.
Yeah, he did. That was a name I was trying to.
It was Okung. Okay,
yeah,
Okung was drafted in 2010.
Yeah,
look at that.
There you go.
Nice pull.
Yeah. Since we're all gonna pick a team here, I wasn't forced here, but I'm gonna take my Arizona Cardinals, and I feel hesitant here because I'll say this: if there was any other quarterback besides Kyler Murray, it sounds weird to say, I would feel better about this. Kyler Murray wasn't that good last year. He just seemed uncomfortable with the play style. He was more of a patient quarterback in the pocket than being a mobile quarterback. Hopefully, him and the OC figure it out, but. On paper, the offense looks pretty nice, and they needed to make moves defensively, especially on the defensive front there. They needed edge rushers, defensive tackles, and I'll give Jonathan Gannon credit. He coached his butt off to maximize the talent that he had the last couple of years. They don't get a lot of time in the spotlight, so we're not really sure how he is as a game manager or in clutch moments, but he knows how to coach defense. So getting Josh Sweat to follow him from Philly to Arizona, and then adding guys like veterans like Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell, and then taking a chance on the first round pick, Walter Nolan. Like Nolan has some character concerns, but to lean on Campbell, who still could play, and Dalvin Tomlinson, they finally have depth. They have a quality number one edge rusher. I don't know how that phrase number one edge rusher for Josh Sweat. I don't know if I could say that fully because he doesn't feel like obviously like the star edge rusher, but he really benefited from depth in Philly, and they're building that depth in Arizona with Jonathan Gannon. Maybe the second-year player, Darius Robinson, does better in year two. He was a first-round pick last year to give him more depth there. But you had to build the trenches on the defensive side. So to me, if those moves pay off, they also help out Budda Baker, maybe Will Johnson if he actually is healthy. But you run the football, you have a good defense. And Kyler Murray, don't screw it up. Go win 8 to 10 games.
Yeah, just to tag on to what Gil said, I think both of us have been down there to see training camp. And like Gil, I've been impressed with Gannon and how he runs things. They're very disciplined. They run a tight ship. Guys seem to believe in him when you talk to the players about Gannon and kind of him setting the tone in terms of their franchise. They went from 4 wins to 8 wins. So that was impressive, and they can see if they continue to build on that. Some of the key things that you mentioned defensively, I agree with. I think they're going to be better defensively because of the front 7. They get Justin Jones back, who was injured, along with Bilal Powell, so that should help in terms of the depth. BJ Ojulari was hurt during training camp, who could maybe be the guy opposite of Sweat. So hopefully their pass rush will be better. But like you, I'm concerned with the offense. And Kyler Murray just seems to regress in the second half of seasons, and we've seen that too often now. And so,
too much Call of Duty.
Is Marvin Harrison going to be better in his second year?
He got muscle on him this year.
Yeah.
He got rocked up. I mean, he looks like a tight end now.
Yeah,
he was already
Maybe
big.
too much. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he was already a big guy. And then the other thing for me is James Conner. Like, if he's hurt, I feel like that offense is going to be totally different. I'm not totally buying on Trey Benson as a guy that could come in and be a workhorse running back if Conner gets hurt, and Conner's 30 years old. So, that would be a concern for me, because they are a run-first offense that's going to run a lot of play action off of that. I don't feel like Kyler can carry that offense week in and week out.
Yeah.
And so, it's weird because they were like an offensive-led team last year. This coming year, I think they're going to be better defensively, but I actually think they might be worse offensively.
Are you buying Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah, I think Marvin's legit. I think Marvin not putting up good stats, it has more to do with Kyler and how they're using on offense, and not him as a skill set. They don't run him on enough over routes, slant routes, or crossing routes where he's running away from the defense. It's a lot of boundary routes where he's running comebacks or goes, and those are low percentage routes. So they got to give him some easy catches, either slants or stops or bubble screens where you can kind of get him confidence early in the game and he can win, so he's ready to feed him late.
Hey, but Eric, those 3-yard catches for Trey McBride over and over again, those are doing great there in Arizona. Just keep throwing at Trey McBride for 2-yard catches and 0 touchdowns until the final week of the season.
Sounds like somebody that has Trey in fantasy.
Yeah, watching this offense was frustrating. It was all McBride, and then it was little dump balls. Hey, I can't figure it out. Here you go. I don't know if Kyler Murray can't read a defense, or he just hates this system that Petzing drew up for him. But he couldn't go deep. I remember that meltdown in Minnesota, and he had 2 interceptions when he had to play from behind. So I blame more Kyler than Marvin Harrison Jr. for sure.
This has to be a big year for Kyler, isn't it? Like, it's either put up or shut up, but kind of at this point, Eric.
Yeah, I agree. He's got to play well. I think the talent is there. I think it's just figuring out schematically, what works best for him. I think, like Russell Wilson in Seattle, I think at times he has trouble throwing over the middle of the field. And I think that's actually where you want to get somebody like Harrison or Trey McBride, because they're big guys. And he just can't see it. So, but like Drew Brees, they used to create those passing lanes for him so he could throw in the middle of the field, and maybe they need to start scheming up things so they can get to the middle of the field more consistently. The one thing I was going to add with Vic is Emmanuel. I totally agree. That was actually going to be my pick if I didn't go with Purdy. You mentioned Hamilton. To me, having watching him every day when he was there, Cam Chancellor, like that's who I see when I see Emmanuel, because he's going to come up and thump you. He's athletic enough to run with tight ends. And I think they needed a guy that kind of like Derwin James for the Chargers that can match up with tight ends or big body receivers in the NFC West in some of the teams that they're going to face.
All right. So we will go now with our NFC West grades for each team in their offseason. Just in case if you guys forget, I'll give you guys some of the names that they've added, departed, or drafted. So I'll go. We'll start off with Gilbert's Arizona Cardinals. They added Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, Akeem Davis-Gaither, Baron Browning, and Evan Brown, offensive linemen. No key departures. They did have some key draft picks. Defensive lineman Walter Nolan, cornerback Will Johnson, who fell to the second round, defensive lineman Jordan Birch, and linebacker Cody Simon. Eric, what grade did you give the Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah, I think I'll give them a B-. I like what they did defensively. I think they could have added some more pieces offensively, particularly up front. You mentioned Evan Brown, bringing him back. I feel like they could be a little better in terms of the interior of their offensive line. Their center's a pretty good player. I think it's Fijolte. I always mess up his name when I say it. But I feel like they needed to add another playmaker at receiver, and I think they need another back, in my opinion.
You guys say that Trey McBride doesn't score touchdowns, right? That's what
I
what
think
you
we had one.
last year.
Yeah, he had
Yeah.
one.
Like in week 16.
I saw that stat the other day. I started laughing. I'm like,
It's a
yeah,
crazy
no, this guy
number.
doesn't- yeah, especially with all the yards that he racks up.
Yeah, all the memes that Kyler hated McBride when they got down in the red zone, they were hilarious.
You can't see him over the middle. Vic,
I'm with Eric. I'm gonna give him a B, and I'll add here just what you guys talked about with the Cardinals. I don't want to, kind of talk too much about the Cardinals until we got here, but I'm with Eric here. And Gilbert, because Gilbert's been the one that's kind of been high on the Cardinals this offseason. He's liked what they've done defensively, but I'm with Eric in terms of the offense. Like, I compare them a lot to the Chargers in terms of what they want to do, right? They want to run the ball first to kind of set up their play action. The problem is that they don't have the horses like the Chargers do along that offensive line. And so I would have liked for them to add a little bit more to that offensive line. And, we'll see what happens here. But I defensively, I thought they needed to take the next step. Calais Campbell, I thought, was a big get for them too defensively. But offensively, I think I want to see them what they can do. And I'll like to see what they do the rest of this offseason. As we know, June 1st cuts, they might go and get some offensive linemen as well. And that might change things for me. But as of right now, I'm giving them a B.
I give him a C+. I did like the defensive lineman. I did like that approach, but I don't agree with the offense. I'm not a big Kyler Murray guy. I mean, you guys or Gilbert
He's
knows
been
that.
there. He's not part of the offseason, but yeah.
Okay, well, just in general, I'm okay.
Not trading
bad,
him is
sorry.
why you're knocking them.
Well, essentially, yeah.
Good
But
point.
I think that they're like I said, they brought in some good defensive players. On the offensive side of the football is really where they lacked last year at multiple times. And like Eric said, another playmaker would have been good. Can you guys name who the second receiver is, third receiver? Like,
Is it Wilson?
Greg Dortch? I forget.
Greg Dortch, yeah.
Yeah, so Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. are great, but they need more running back help. Like you guys said, offensive line help. Their offensive line at times cannot help Kyler Murray. And it doesn't help that the dude scrambles around and runs into edge rushers. But yeah, I'd give it a solid C+.
Yeah, as you guys know, I'm a little higher. I think they really built that defense with talent. And again, I'm high on the coaching staff, and I'm glad that Eric feels the same way. So I'm not making things up here. So B+ for the Cardinals, but I'm with you, Fernando. They got complacent offensively. It looks nice on paper with the trio, McBride, Connor, and Kyler. He has a name. It's just we know he's been struggling. But if they would have traded him or something, I would have been okay with it because I just like the coaching staff. I like the system, and he's just not playing up to par there. But when you have Jacoby Brissett on your roster, it means a couple of things. Like, you're not comfortable with your starter, or you have like a rookie that needs some veteran help. So to me, having Brissett there says like the beginning of maybe, hey, it's now or never, Kyler Murray. So to me, being complacent, I can't give him an A, but I do like Will Johnson, Walter Nolan, Josh Sweat defensively.
If you're nice to Gilbert, then he'll speak wonders about your coaching staff.
Yeah.
That's what it really is.
I was gonna give Eric credit because I think I posted his article on here, or I linked it from March, and Jacoby Brissett was one of his top free agent signings. I think it was a top 10 signing. So
okay, Eric.
Shout out to Eric.
Is Eric there?
Yeah.
Eric, are you there?
It's just like, yeah, Gilbert, great points.
That's a great. He'll be back.
We'll get him back.
All right, let's go now with the Los Angeles Rams. Let us do. They brought in Davante Adams. Let me know when he's back in, guys.
Yeah, I got you. Don't worry.
You brought in Davante Adams, Puna Ford, offensive lineman Coleman Shelton, left tackle Alaric Jackson, and cornerback Akilo Witherspoon. That's who they brought in or re-signed. Key departures: Jonah Jackson obviously got traded to the Chicago Bears. Bobby Brown, defensive tackle, edge. Michael Hoyt and Cooper Kupp obviously all left. They drafted tight end Terrence Ferguson, edge Josiah Stewart, running back Jarquez Hunter, defensive lineman Ty Hamilton, and linebacker Chris Paul Jr. So obviously the Rams got busy. Gilbert, what grade did you give the Rams?
I'll give them a B minus, and it could have been lower, but I really like the signing for Davante Adams. I can't wait to see what McVay and Puka and Stafford
At that
do.
price tag?
And it's fine. It's a 2-year contract, and he's not getting paid like a top wide receiver. I think that's a good market for a player that caliber and also that age. So I'm okay with it, especially it went up with Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. So not too bad for me. But they just, I don't know. The Rams have a style. They like to play small ball, and I don't like it. And now the tush push, didn't get banned. So good luck with your small linebackers. You don't have enough DBs in my eyes. And they also overlooked the offensive line. Havenstein, the right tackle, has been injured a lot. They've been a lot of shuffling at the interior spots. They might not have a center. I don't think they do right now. They did resign Alaric Jackson. He's a good left tackle. But to me, there's too many holes here to really like this team. They're going to be a playoff team, but they don't feel like a Super Bowl contender, to me. I thought they're going to take that step forward. They traded their first-round pick and dropped 20 spots. I didn't like that too much. Maybe Terrence Ferguson does something this year as a rookie, but to me, I'll go with a B minus, mainly because of Davante, and they added Puna 4 to help with the run defense, but they still need more help with the run defense. So it's okay.
Yeah. If they traded for Jalen Ramsey, would your grade be higher?
Not really. Maybe a little higher, but how much does he really have left in the tank? Does he play safety? And I think safety, they're okay. The Rams actually, they got the two
I think I
cams
saw
there.
the Cowboys would want to move him to safety if they traded for
maybe
him.
Slot cornerback he could do, but outside, I don't know how much he has left.
Vic?
Here, hold on. Let me fix this until we get him back. I think this is right. There we go.
Puna
Puna Ford. Do you want me to go next?
Ford.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, sorry. For me, it's a C plus, and I've kind of been validated here. I thought I was being a little negative about the Rams, but outside of like I said, Davante Adams, I like the signing. I just don't know how he's gonna fit. I get it. You had a Cooper Kupp that was hurt for the last couple of years. And I just don't know if Davante Adams is going to be willing to do the dirty work that is necessary to run this offense. I also been seeing the videos of Sean McVay gassing him up, like showing like showing his clips of what he brings to this offense. And I'm like, okay, that's all great. And I get that they brought in Puna Ford as well. But like Gilbert brought up, the secondary still has a bunch of holes. Linebacker, who's going to be their linebackers this season? I know they brought in a couple guys, like maybe they get lucky and they, and things work out for them. But there's still a lot of question marks on that defense. The defensive line is going to be great. They're going to get a bunch of sacks, but I still have questions about the linebacking core. I still have questions about the defensive backs, the secondary, the safeties are going to be good, but outside of that, I have a lot of questions with this team, and they're going to win their division easily because it's an easy schedule. They should win 12 to 13 games, but my issue is, can you compete against the Lions and the Eagles? And kind of listening to a lot of the beat reporters, they have the same question, so I kind of feel validated by that because I was like, am I here on an island? But even hearing Gilbert too, and I kind of wanted to hear Eric. Hopefully he gets back, but I just think for me it's been a C plus.
There's one person that won't, one beat reporter that won't agree with you, but
actually she was one of the main persons.
Damn it! He just gave me away.
Yeah,
I actually agree with it. I was gonna take it a little bit of a step further and go C. Just because of they didn't resolve any of the issues that they struggled at last year, and that was stopping the run. And like you guys said, the linebackers. Yeah, you got Puna, and you may have one of the best defensive lines in football, but it's about that second tier, even that third tier that you didn't improve in. Right now, we just saw, I think Manuel said, Jalen is better than any cornerback they have. If a 30-year-old or 31-year-old Jalen Ramsey
sums it up.
is going to be the best corner you have, then you have a ways to go. And like we said, they draft really well. They do a lot of good stuff. But as of right now, they're kind of banking on two things. The other thing is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Matthew is more of a drop back. You count 2 to 5 alligators before he throws the ball, right? Or like 3 to 6 before he throws the ball. Aaron is more of like, he sees the defense, he hikes it, and then he throws it real fast, or he does a lot of back shoulder throws, different stuff like that. I don't know if that's going to work with the skill set of Matthew Stafford and Davante Adams. That's going to be really interesting. But 2 big signings, that's great. But it's like you guys said, the rest of the team, where's everything with the rest of the team? And I still think their offensive line is going to be a huge problem for them. And then I think, what's his name is already disgruntled, right? The running back out of Notre Dame.
Aaron Williams.
Williams.
He needs to get paid, but yeah.
He basically is already talking about wanting to get paid. Angel Eric had technical difficulties with his computer. He said if he's able to throw it back in there, he'll jump back in, but he doesn't know if he'll be able to fix it. Rams always have one of the best coach teams. No, they are, but there is, like, at one point you're going to run into a buzzsaw. Are you able to get past that or not? And last year they weren't able to get it past them, and they had 2 cracks at the Eagles last year, and they weren't able to get it past them, either one of those. So I agree with.
Quick question, Fernando. Who would you rather have, Kyron Williams or James Cook? 2 guys needing a contract.
James Cook.
Okay.
Kyron misses games, doesn't he?
Occasionally.
No,
yeah.
he fumbles the ball.
Oh, that's what it is. No, Angel, we have not. We're saving that for the end.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He puts the ball on the
There's
ground.
2 kind of the second tier running backs that want top tier money, but they don't deserve that. So it's gonna be interesting to see how both get paid.
Unfortunately for them, they were born in the wrong era, if that's what they're looking for, because
And they're not named
that's not what the
Saquon or
NFL
Derrick Henry either.
That's the NFL's not even, the NFL's not doing it. And look at Derek. Derek already got a new extension after 1 year. So yeah, they didn't no, Tom, they did give him a game, but they still, the result was still the same. Saquon Barkley ran all over
gashed that much, you can't brag about that.
Yeah. So that's kind of
and we're not, this is about the moves. We're not like
not the team in general.
Yeah, not the team. Like I said, they're gonna win the division, and they're gonna win 12 to 13 games. My biggest thing is, like, if you're, as Gilbert said, part of the reason he doesn't see him as a Super Bowl contender, you know, you're having to go up against the Lions, who have a really good offensive line, and the same thing with the Eagles. The problem is are you going to be able to win those games when you're having to kind of, you know, run the ball and kind of, you know, grit your way to a win? And I think that's where we're at, is like they haven't done enough.
San Francisco 49ers, they let go, or they brought in, or they re-signed Luke Farrell, Kyle Juszczyk, and George Kittle. They had a bunch of key departures. I'm only going to get into a couple. Deebo Samuel, Aaron Banks, Ufanga, Elijah Mitchell, Leonard Floyd, Shavarius Ward. Flipping hell, that one always throws me off. They did bring in edge. Is it Mikel Williams, Alfred Collins, Upton Stute, and CJ West? I kind of want to give them a C also, just because they did get rid of some dead weight. I won't bring out names, but they did get rid of some dead weight. But they didn't have any money to really bring guys in. They kind of took care of their own. They're drafting. That's going to kind of be the route. So if we're talking about their off season overall, I just have to give them a C, because I didn't think they really had the money to do much. And they re-signed obviously their quarterback. So Brock Purdy, but I just don't think there's much juice to this, and there's nothing wrong with it. They didn't have the money to really make some moves, and they lost more than what they've gained. So that's why I gave them a C, because when you lose more talent than what you brought in, that's kind of the issue. So I think they're going to count a lot on young players making plays similar to what the Rams did a couple of years ago, where you need these guys to speed it up and speed through. They still have a solid team, but they have some playmakers, but I still feel like their offseason was kind of because obviously they have no money. Gilbert?
Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty harsh here. I went with a D plus here, and they lost a lot of talent, like you mentioned, Fernando. But also they really focus on one spot in the draft. I'm like, you have a lot of holes in this roster, and you could have maybe spread it around. But I think their first 4 or 5 picks in the draft was on the defensive front seven. You know, Michael Williams, I think the big guy from Texas. They got a linebacker who might start next to Fred Warner. So, you know, that's gonna be great. They're gonna maybe stop the run, be better at pressuring the quarterback. But they really didn't address the offensive line. It's like I get the Kyle Shanahan scheme makes life easier for everybody, but you know, are we so sure that Christian McCaffrey is going to stay healthy? He's also an older running back who also got hurt a lot in Carolina. It's just when San Francisco he was doing okay, the trade was paying off, and then last year hit. It's like, oh, okay, McCaffrey's older and he still has durability issues. So, and then Trent Williams too, older. They're really betting on a lot of older guys, and a guy coming off a torn ACL and Brandon Ayuk. They were trying to shop Brandon Ayuk as well. So to me, I get people are saying they're going to retool, but I think they have a lot more work than people. A lot of people get caught up on the reputation of Kyle Shanahan. They get caught up on the past winning tradition for the 49ers, but I think they really missed their window. They had opportunity to win the Super Bowl. They didn't do it, and now they're going to probably pay the consequence there, and maybe they can retool. It is a lot of talent. I'm not going to deny it. Eric Williams alluded to it earlier, but I have questions in the secondary, I have questions at offensive line, and then durability concern for an older roster. And I know I said some of the similar things about the Rams 2 years ago when they got rid of everybody, but Brock Purdy is not Matthew Stafford. So to me, I also have a lot of questions with that too.
Vic?
Yeah, I'm gonna be even harsher, Gilbert. I went with a D minus. I mean, they didn't do anything outside of re-signing their guys, and you know, the thing that they have going for them, as Eric brought up, and part of the reason why I think they'll still make the playoffs is because 1, they have an easy schedule. 2, they have good people. They also have a really good coaching staff, as Eric pointed out earlier. I think the thing is going to be is, at what point does not having enough debt going to catch up to Kyle Shanahan? And we've seen him run running backs to the ground. How long are you going to have Christian McCaffrey for before he gets hurt? And then do you have a staple of running backs behind him to be able to run your scheme and run him to the ground? And you know, we'll see what happens. But I thought it was at least a good thing that they focus on defense, Gilbert. I will give them credit for that, because look, that's what they know, that Kyle Shanahan can, you know, kind of pretty much fix, you know, or band-aid the offense, and so they need players on defense to kind of help Nick Bosa out. So I still gave them a D minus, just because they didn't do much. I mean, they lost a lot of people, and as Fernando mentioned, a lot of it was dead weight, sure, but the problem is you still need depth, and so that's why I went with the D minus.
Seattle Seahawks, they brought in Sam Darnold, Cooper Kupp, DeMarcus Lawrence, Ernest Jones IV, Jerron Reed, MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They lost DK Metcalf. They lost Tyler Lockett, Geno Smith, Langdon Tomlinson, Roy Robertson Harris, and Dremont Jones. They did bring in Greg Zabel, the Nick Emanwari, Elijah Arroyo, Jalen Milroe, and Damian Martinez. I gave them a B plus. I thought that obviously the Seahawks. Hey, last year I was very high on the Seahawks. I thought they were gonna make the playoffs. That was one of my playoff teams. They still won 10 games, but they weren't able to make the playoffs. But I definitely like what the Seahawks are doing. The Sam Darnold thing to me is a little questionable, but the guy won games last year, so I definitely think that he'll be fine. I just wonder if they didn't tinker too much with it. No Geno Smith. You lost 2 of your top receivers, and then you bring in 2 receivers. You draft basically a new center / guard, and obviously you brought in a new quarterback. So there's a lot of changes going, but what their bread and butter is that defense. That defense just got a lot better with the players that they brought in. So I had to give them a B+. I think Seattle's going to be very, very competitive in 2025. Vic?
Yeah, I'm with you. I went with the B as well. Outside of the Sam Darnold acquisition or free agent pickup, I like what they're doing. I one of the things I always go by with, especially since we started doing this with Gilbert, and him following closely the NFL, is he says, hey, you're either in the middle, you don't want to be there. And it looks like for them, they were like, okay, we've gone as far as we can with Geno Smith. We're going to see what we can do. We're going to retool as we go. We're going to also, rebuild at the same time and bring in the guys that fit the Mike Macdonald defense. And so I thought they've gone about it the right way, picking up draft picks and going. It's hard to just do just tear down. If you're not going to fully tear down, then you want to retool. And that's what I thought the Seahawks have done really well this offseason. So we'll see if it translates. One thing I will say, this division, and I don't know if you guys will agree, it kind of reminds me of what we saw from the NFC North last year. I feel like you're going to have a bloated NFC West, but a lot of it is going to be because they have an easy schedule. And so you're going to see these teams win like 9, 10, 12, 13 games. And at the end of it, we're going to say, well, is this the best division in football? But a lot of it's going to be because they have a easier schedule than the rest of the divisions.
Gilbert?
Yeah, I'm not as high on Seattle as you guys because of the free agency moves. I didn't like the signing of Sam Darnold. I didn't really care for the Cooper Kupp signing. They also spent a lot of money on DeMarcus Lawrence. Like, these are all guys, or at least the last 2 guys have been regressing. One had a fluky breakout year. We'll see what he could do. And then they didn't help out the offensive line. Yeah, Gray Sable is great, but he can't play 3 spots at the same time, okay? So I'll give them a C+, but I did love their draft. Their draft really kind of was like, you know what? In case these moves don't pan out, we got these guys coming up. And I like that in the sense there to kind of take some chances and then back them up at the same time. I do want to see year 2 of Mike Macdonald leading that defense. I have questions about the offense because it went so poorly last year. They had a lot of talent and they couldn't really get it done. And then if you think about it, you traded Geno Smith and DK Metcalf in exchange for Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp. I'd rather have DK and Geno all day than those 2 guys. But hey, maybe Jalen Milroe at his own pace to be developed could maybe become a guy in a couple of years to get out of that cycle, because Sam Darnold feels like the cycle guy where you get stuck in the middle. But you develop Milroe at his own pace, maybe he becomes a guy. I don't know. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, whatever. And Nwosu, by the way, Angel, to your point, I think he's maybe not in good terms with Mike Macdonald. I think he's falling out of that rotation there. They got maybe 3 guys ahead of him for Nwosu. He could be a trade candidate. I would not be surprised there. But yeah, Eman Worry is a good pickup. Sable is a good pickup, and then you got Elijah Arroyo, who could be a very good tight end for Sam Darnold. But after Cooper Kupp, who do they really have a wide receiver? Well, actually, Jackson Smith and Jigba is pretty good, but with Njigba, I'm not sure if I'm ready to call him a number 1 wide receiver because I think he benefited a lot from DK Metcalf. So to me, these losses are really going to hurt them. They might feel like they might win 8 to 9 games. But hey, maybe Sam Darnold proves me wrong again. Clint Kubiak has experience in the NFL. It didn't go so well for him in New Orleans, but everybody got hurt in New Orleans during his time there as a play caller. So good draft class. So free agency for me.
Don't sleep on Jake Bobogill.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Wow.
Or MVS or whoever else they have there.
That's pretty funny. Gilbert, I'm going to have to head out. I will give you guys my quick grades for these guys, and then I unfortunately have to head out.
Who do we want to start with?
I'll give you Raiders. I have to give that an A. just because of the head coach. They finally got their heads out of their asses. They went to go get somebody who actually matters, a head coach who actually has been there, done that. He revived USC. He revived not revived the Seahawks. He turned the Seahawks into an interesting location to go, made Russell Wilson into a competent quarterback, and now we've kind of seen what's happened after that. He gave us the Legion of Boom, so I have to go A for them. I'm not even talking about on the field. On the field, I mean, they got guys that you're maybe scratching your head at, but they're going to play well in his system. So I definitely agree with everything that the Raiders have done. I'm interested to see what that handshake's going to look like after Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh see each other on Monday Night Football. Kansas City, I gave them a B. No, you know what? I'm going to give them a B minus. I get the whole offensive line, but I think Joe Thuney was the glue of that, and I don't think that offensive line is going to be better. They still have a right tackle. What's his name?
I forgot his
name. Taylor.
Yeah,
Jawan Taylor. Yeah, he struggled. He's my compa and everything, but he struggles. And
he remembers you.
Yeah, I know. That was interesting. The crazy part is that I just saw something that if Josh Simmons is healthy, he's going to start at left tackle. He has those knee issues. By the way, he's from San Diego, so shout out to him. They paid Jalen Moore $15 million a year, so I'm interested to see what all that is going to look like. So, but that'll be I have them at a B minus. Gardner Minshew being the backup is actually pretty interesting. Denver Broncos, I give them C plus. Actually, no, I have to go B minus. I really like Barron from Texas. RJ Harvey, older running back. He'll be interesting. Evan Ingram, to me, he's okay. I don't think he was worth the $11 million or $12 million that they gave him. Ufanga and Greenlaw, that's going to be interesting to see them hanging on a thread, especially with them being injured consistently in the last few years. So, yeah. For the Chargers, I gave them a B. I still have the offensive line questions that you have, Gilbert. Center and left guard are now they're really gonna be the spotlight on them, because I actually think the Chargers have improved their defensive line. I know Puna Ford left, but I actually think that they've improved their defensive line a lot, because they went out and got some playmakers, I think, on their defensive line that are going to help stop the run. Cornerback is still kind of a little bit of an issue for me. But I think linebacker's solid. I think like I said, defensive line is pretty good. I think offensive line is now their biggest question mark moving forward. And in a Jim Harbaugh offense, we know, and a Greg Roman, you can mask those issues until you unhitch the wagon a little bit. And like Tom just said, they're Mekhi Becton injury away from having the same offensive line as last year. So I really think that they're going to be players in this June 1st window. Once that opens up, they have to be. There's no way you can trot out. And okay, maybe you put Zion at center, but that left guard is still going to be an issue unless this 6th round draft pick from Pittsburgh, unless they think he's going to be something. But it's just the same recycled names that we've seen in the past. So I definitely think that they need to improve that if they're going to do anything. But again, I am out. Please read at the year's question, because he's asked like 70 billion times.
There you go. Before you go.
But yeah, Eric, I have to say Herbert gets all the crap that Allen and Lamar have had better teams in the last 5 years, but Allen and Lamar have not been in the Super Bowl, still waiting, but my QB catches the craps. Well, the problem is that he hasn't won a playoff game, so they basically he has to start off with that. Once he wins a playoff game, then he'll be ascended into all that. And Vic, you wanted obviously your response, but I think once Herbert wins a playoff game or two, like if this year they make it to the AFC Championship and they kind of get there, that'll be a good spot for him, especially with the improvement that they made. But obviously you got to get there and play good football. But I mean, especially except for the offensive line, the Chargers went out and did a lot of the stuff that they needed to do, especially like Eric said, this is probably the deepest receiver room that they've had since maybe 2018, when they had Tyrell Williams, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, Antonio Gates, Austin Eckler, and Melvin Gordon. So yeah, that's basically my spiel, but I'll let you guys get to it. Thank you guys. I will be leaving, and This is Gilbert. This is now your show. You can
No,
run
finally,
it. This is your
my
show. Yeah.
show. But I'll let
Finally.
Vic handle
Exactly.
the keys.
All right. See you guys
I
later.
got kicked out, but sure.
Where are you? See, I got messed up here. There we go.
Says it's my show, and then I get kicked out right away. But
Yeah, there we go.
uh,
Let me fix this up here. Let me make sure that we have the right. Nope, that's not the right one. Nope, that's not the right one either.
I'm sure
Nope.
people here want to hear about my Chargers takes here. So we got another 10 minutes or so, and then we'll head out here, Vic.
Nope.
But probably figure out the camera. But I'll start with the AFC West. Sorry, with the AFC West, I'll start with the Chargers to not make people wait here. And I'm gonna, echo a lot of what Fernando said. And Vic, maybe just for the sake of time,
Yeah,
I'll go with the Chargers and the Raiders. I'll give you my grades after you're done with the
here.
Chiefs,
Just continue on with the
Chiefs and the Broncos.
Chargers. Yeah,
Are you okay with that? Wait, you get the Chiefs and the Broncos. I get the Raiders and the Chargers.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a little conversation there. So Chargers, I will go with the B. I really like their offseason moves to build skill players and get more help for Justin Herbert. But to me, how much did they sacrifice the offensive line or the Harbaugh way? The more guys in the trenches, getting guys who are physical, lead the way blockers like that. Harbaugh had to give up a lot of that to make up for the skill players. And to me, it seems like they did. They got Becton. That was nice and all. But again, center, left guard, who's going to play that? You can have the running backs. You can have the skill players, the wide receivers, the tight ends, whatever. You can have Justin Herbert. It's not going to work if you can't protect the guy. And we saw last year at the worst time that offensive line crumbled. Same thing for guys like Sam Darnold. Like, you just don't know when the offensive line. You could patchwork an offensive line, but then when it comes to big boy football playoffs and they're rushing at you and you can't, protect the quarterback, you're not going to win many games like that. So I do have concerns, but man, Omarion Hampton is a pretty good running back. You added Trey Harris to help out also. So, a lot of moves there for the Chargers. I'll give them a B. And then with the Raiders, these grades are funny because a lot of the bad teams from a year before tend to get the best offseason grade because they have the most work. So you know what? I give the Raiders an A minus, but I hold them off from a proper A because I need more skill players besides Jacoby Myers. Like I like the rookie Jack Besh from TCU in the second round, but you also got Ashton Genty as your running back who might be a top 5 running back after his rookie year. I'm not sure that bar is too high, but he has that talent. And then, so you have Genty and you have Brock Bowers. You're okay not to have too much at the wide receiver position, but I want to see more there. I think the offensive line has been pretty good. Colton Miller's been solid for the last, since 2018. You got some talent. There's some guys that they've been developing on offensive line. I would like to see more defensively for the Raiders, Vic. But when you got Max Crosby, maybe Christian Wilkins stays healthy, they got guys up front. And whenever you have guys that could pass rush and maybe Malcolm Kuhn stays healthy and bounces back, you're going to have a chance. I don't know what the hell happened last year, but Patrick Graham is there. 2 years ago, they were good. They weren't that very good last year. So I'll go with the Chargers B. Raiders, I'll give an A. But go ahead, Vic.
Yeah, no, just to kind of piggyback off the Raiders, and then I'll be quick. I thought with the Chargers, I would give them a B too. I like what they've done in terms of what they did. I'm with you. You guys have kind of gone over all the why you guys wouldn't put them up. Some of the issues that you guys have had this offseason, and they need to take care of it. There's still time, and we'll see. Then going back to the Raiders real quick, I'll just say this: it's hard for me to get excited about this team again, Gilbert, because I told you, like, going to training camp last season and seeing them, I bought into all the new things that they were doing, and I'm gonna say the same thing I said about the Chargers last season, why I didn't pick them to make the playoffs last season, and why the same thing with the Raiders this season is they need to prove it to me. They need to do it more than one season for me to buy into this team and believe in them. Like, it's great to see that they're trying to change the culture, but it's been 20 years of the same thing, Gilbert. And Pete Carroll is older, right? Like, and I mean, yeah, they've made some great additions. They have good players on offense now. Their offense should be better. Defensively, part of the problem was that they had a bunch of guys get hurt last season. Max Crosby missed some games. Wilkins missed some games, and now they lost some of those guys to free agency, like a Trayvon Merrick, and so that's gonna hurt them. But you also look at the schedule, and you could see them, being able to rack up, anywhere between 7 and 10 wins. So who knows? Like I said, they need to prove it to me before I I I believe in this team. But I've liked their offseason so far. Now they need to, put it together during the season. And then for the Kansas City, I gave them a C, Gilbert. I like some of their moves. They didn't have a lot of cap, but as you said, you kind of you give credit to Bill Beach because he's been able to do a lot with not on having a draft late in the in drafts and being able to find guys. Especially, he knows his coaching staff. He knows what they want, and he accommodates that for them. Their biggest thing, Gilbert, for me is going to be whether or not retooling that offensive line is going to work. And I think that's, is Jalen Moore, as everybody has brought up, whether or not he's going to be the guy as you brought up, he was a backup. Is he going to be good being the main guy? That first round pick, is he going to be ready to go if any of these guys get hurt? And so to me, that's my biggest question mark with this team, whether or not they can stay on top. I mean, what is it? They won 10 AFC West championships in a row or
I don't
something
think
like
it's been
that.
that many, but maybe 8 or 9. I forget.
9,
It's hard
yeah.
to keep
So they're
track.
getting almost to double digits. So is this the season? It can the rest of the division catch up to them and finally dethrone them? And I think the division has caught up to them. We need to see whether or not these moves are gonna are gonna be good for them this season.
Yeah, with the Chiefs, I'll give them like a C plus, just because a lot of the rosters has already been built. They really had to focus on the offensive line, and when you don't have that much salary cap, you got to go and search for a gem. And Jalen Moore could maybe be that guy. Again, is he a better part-time player than a full-time player? I don't know. You lost Joe Tooney. Does Mike Caliendo not play as well without Joe Tooney next to him? Maybe Creed Humphrey could really help out. Same thing with Trey Smith. Was he's a guy to pay? He is younger than Joe Tooney. I like that. They get out of contracts a year early than a year too late. So I respect that from Brett Beach. They evolved after trading Tyreek Hill. They evolved after trading L'Jarius Sneed. So I'm gonna give this team the benefit of the doubt. But what did they really do besides adding those 2 linemen, Josh Simmons, who might not even play his rookie year, he's hurt, and then resigning some of their own like Nick Bolton and Trey Smith. So it's kind of been a so-so off season for them. But if Rashee Rice is healthy and ready to go, and maybe not suspended, then they're going to be okay with skill players.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then, like I said, and you look at that schedule too. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate through that schedule.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's going to catch up to them. Gilbert playing all those playoff games, and having the same core. Some of those guys are going to get old eventually. I mean, Father Time is undefeated, and we'll see. The interesting team in this division, Gilbert, is the Denver Broncos, because I feel like there's a lot of people who are either really high on this team, or some people think that they're going to take a back seat. And I'm kind of in between myself. I gave this team a B as well, just because the fact that they got Jadavian Barron, I thought was huge. You pair him up with PS2, like that's really good. I think part of it too for me is, what does the tight end do here? I forgot his name already. Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
Is he going to play the Joker role? I know that's been the big talk out of Denver, is who's going to play that Joker role for a Sean Payton offense, kind of like the Kamara when he was with the Saints, that kind of a role. Whether is it going to be RJ Harvey? Is it going to be someone like him? And so I think offensively, does Bo Nix take the next step? That's been the other question with this team. So, but in terms of their moves, I really like what they've done. They prioritize, for a team that, they brought in Sean Payne, and I was like, well, what's going to happen with them once they bring in his guys? They're starting to do that, Gilbert. Now, can they've taken a step each year. Now they have Bo Nix in his second year. So for me, I gave him a B, but this is one of those most intrigued. teams in this division. I don't know about how you feel about it.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the toughest teams to assess this offseason. And when I did my story for the over under for total wins, like I went under for the Broncos just because I feel like 9.5 is really high. Maybe I'm gonna take a chance here because maybe they win 9 games and they're still a good team. Maybe they miss the playoffs that way. But a year ago they were viewed as a 5.5 win team, and that was a good bet to go over because Sean Payton in year 2, I'm gonna take that all day, and that's what I went with. So I'm not saying I don't think the Broncos can make the playoffs. It's just, to me, expectations got a little higher, and I don't know if this roster is ready to make that kind of leap just yet. They might feel like the same team as last year, and they got lucky with an easy schedule. They couldn't beat winning teams. Remember that last year?
Yep.
So that's a good defense, but can guys stay healthy? Can a rookie, as and Barron, can he play up to par right away? Can Ufanga stay healthy? Can Greenlaw stay healthy? I'm blanking on his name. Oh, the edge rusher who got like 13.5 sacks. Was he? What the hell is his name?
Benito.
Yeah, Nick Bonito. Thank you. Was he a 1-year wonder? Does he get paid?
Right.
That's a big contract decision because he wasn't good his first 2 years, and then he just broke out, and he got a lot of garbage time sacks too. So that's another kind of decision for them.
Zach Allen. Is it Zach
Yeah,
Allen?
yeah, I think it's Zach Allen. But they have some guys. They know how to bring in pressure. But I don't like their wide receiver room. Cortland Sutton's a good number 3. I'm not even sure he was a good number 2. He's reliable. He's solid. It's just they're
he's going
missing
into
a guy.
his final year of his
Yeah,
contract.
he's older. He's been hurt. He's been pretty, durable the last few years. But they drafted a lot of guys in like day 3, so maybe somebody becomes a gem. I don't know. I think they have a guy named Pat Bryant could maybe be that guy. I forget what round. I think he might have been a 3rd round pick. RJ Harvey could be a good running back. But to me, maybe it's a 2nd year slump for Bo Nix. People have tape on him now. Maybe he doesn't have enough weapons to take that leap there. So I do like their offseason. I'll give them a solid B, but I'm just not ready to buy a lot of stock in the Broncos here. But I would not be shocked if they make the wild card, Vic.
Yeah, and Angel says Broncos are basically right behind the Chargers. I think teams will know how to play Bo Nix, and I think this is the team where they'll be the wild card of, not the wild card team, but like the wild card of this division of what happens. But I do think this division is a lot better. Teams have gotten, they've caught up to the Chiefs. How much? We'll find out during the season. But with the moves that everybody has made in this division, to me, this is one of the most intriguing divisions going into the season. And I would not be surprised if by the end of it, they not only get 3 teams again, Gilbert, but they, these teams end up like we talked about or I talked about with the NFC West, where you have teams winning more than nine games in this division.
The AFC is going to be tough because the usual suspects tend to make it, like the Ravens and the Bills and the Chiefs. So probably the Texans, because they have a crappy division. I don't. Maybe the Jaguars can make noise, but if you put it that way, regardless of how people feel, it's going to be 3 or 4 of the same teams from last year. So that bottom half could be some surprise teams there, like the Patriots. Maybe I know people like them, but the Broncos are not going to go away. The Chargers got better too. So we'll see how many new teams actually make it in the AFC. But this was a good exercise to break down the AFC West and the NFC West. Thank you to Eric for joining us. I know Eric had some Wi-Fi issues, and Fernando had to go to work. So, we spent a lot of time in the NFC West, but we got through it. A little bit of a rush AFC West, but we talk a lot of Chargers on this program here. Raiders too. Broncos a lot because Fernando's not big on the Broncos, so he's been.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk a little bit of them, because I know we don't talk about the Chiefs or the Broncos.
And then anytime we talk about the Chiefs, it's an argument between me and Dan, so it's never a civil conversation. So it's good to switch it up here. So we got to get going here. Shout out to Angel for always jumping on the comments. All of these teams had the Chiefs on their heels last year, and they all got better. So yeah, people don't believe it, but I got tired of the Chiefs winning too a lot. So we'll see if a team finally dethrones them in the AFC West. But yeah, we're getting closer to the summer months here in the NFL offseason when training camp rolls around. Shout out to you, Blue Dream. Thank you for saying that. I am a father, first time dad, so it's been great. I'm not getting too much sleep, but it's been a progress every day. Yeah, I missed too many shows, man. But good to have Victor here and Dan and Fernando holding it down, and also Eric Williams, a friend of the show here. A lot of friends of the shows on the program that we've been having this hot season, so that's good to see. But anything we got to promote, Victor? I don't think so. Is it time to get going? Okay.
No, we'll be back next Tuesday. We should be back at our regular time, which is 4:00 next week. We're 3:30, 4:00. It all depends on everybody's schedule, but I think that's the way we'll roll. But if we need to change it, we change it, and that's how we do. We pivot here.
Yeah, so usually Tuesday is the day we do it here. But yeah, let's get going here. I'm sure What's Up Bolt has things in plan. We'll probably do something for the Rams, House of Horns, for June. So everybody, hopefully coming off a good Memorial Day weekend and getting ready for June. But it's time to get going here. Ya nos vamos, pues. Vámonos.